I think if I hear you call me Becky one more time, six-pack, I'm gonna pop your tops. All six of them.
Who are you?
Hey, this is Matt once again. We're about to another review. This is another Patreon review, this time from Marv B. As for Nightmare and a Damaged Brain, also known simply as Nightmare, from 1981. Now, if anyone wants to request any type of reviews, topics, re-reviews, commentaries, what have you, you can request it either to be reactions, pretty much any type of video. You just send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. Now this is a film, a long time ago I started, and I couldn't finish, just a bunch of other things popped up, trying to review all the horror films of the 80s, which was too big of a task. And this is one of those films, I don't know why I didn't get to, but I've been curious about because of the controversy, because very violent film, because it has elements of whether it be Maniac or one of those things that's a much grimmer, serious take on, supposedly serious take on following a serial killer or following some type of madman. I mean, like compared to like Friday the 13th or The Prowler or something to that sort. And I will say, at the end of the day, I didn't love it. I just thought it was a lesser version of Maniac or Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer, although it does have some really nice gore, which, depending on who you asked, was either Tom Savini or not Tom Savini. And I like the grindhouse atmosphere, whether it be the killer in a trench coat, he's walking around old school New York City, and the sex shows, peep shows, or even the look of the film. It definitely has that early 80s grindhouse feel to it. And the guy who plays the killer wasn't too bad. Granted, a lot of it is squealing, or, well, squealing's the wrong word, screaming, or poses, or the looks he gives. But what few limited stuff he's given, he's not that bad. And like I said, there is some really good gore. And when I mentioned controversy, one of the trailers for this said that Tom Savini, the man behind Dawn of the Dead, Friday the 13th, he worked on the effects. And there's even a picture of Tom Savini on set with an axe, as part of a scene. But then Tom Savini goes, no, I did not do the film. I consulted. I was there, and they asked me questions, because people at French and other people, they did the actual effects. They asked my advice. I'm like, well, you could do it this way, you could do it this way, you could do it this way. But he never actually got his hands on the effects. He never really did anything. So you're saying I did it when all these other people did it. But of course, you just say, maybe the filmmakers wanted to use Tom Savini because that it was a big marketing tool. I mean, how else could they could mention Dawn of the Dead, Friday the 13th? Oh my God, huh? Because a lot of these films, the gore was the star. People want to go see what new magic trick, what new special effect gore scene is going to be included. You know, maybe take a date or take some friends and, oh shit. And Tom Savini didn't like his name being used that way. So you can still find the trailer that does that, and then there's another trailer where they exclude that. And even some of the old like VHS copies will mention that Tom Savini, you know, his name on it. So I think this movie's probably the most well known for that controversy. I mean, as for the film itself, I do think it's a movie that kind of meanders from point to point. I do think it's a film that could have been cut down and edited down to be slimmer and faster of a paced film. The acting from the other characters are not the best. Because it starts off with starts out with a bang. A guy wakes up, finds a fucking headless, the head of a woman on his bed, bloodied up to hell. And like, what the fuck? And then he wakes up, he's had a nightmare. So it makes sense with the title. You know, it's the nightmare of a damaged brain, you know, this killer. Most times you'll see it just titled Nightmare. But even Nightmare in a Damaged Brain, even that title works. Because his brain's damaged and there's a nightmare, so the first scene kind of told you the title. The next scene was a bit confusing because it's a woman in this house, and then there's a guy on the roof. He jumps down, then the guy wakes up again, but then it cuts away to cops looking at the perimeter of the house as if someone did jump down. I'm like, well, wait a minute. We come to find out this guy is in New York. The family's in Florida. Who the fuck jumped off the roof? Who? Was it fucking teleportation? Like, what? I didn't understand. If someone tried to explain it to me, feel free. Maybe I missed something. Because then he is in New York. Because the next scene or two is him walking around New York City in peep shows. Which he'll watch a woman diddle herself and he goes to his seizure. Like we all do, I guess. Well, but this one he's foaming at the mouth. As if he got some Alka-Seltzer. But okay, he's in New York, but this family's in Florida. What the fuck happened? Like, did someone else jump off the roof and he dreamt it the same time? I don't know. I didn't understand the fucking thing. Again, someone to explain to me, feel free. At least I think that was the family in Florida. Was it a different family in New York and he just jumped off it and ran away? And then I didn't understand that. And apparently, this guy was in an asylum. He was released because the doctors say they have reprogrammed his brain and fixed him. We could tell this by a bunch of old school computers. I'm like, well, you fucked up real bad. So after looking at some peep shows and getting his mind in a fucking seizure, he decides to drive to Florida. And of course, part of you is wondering, well, why the fuck is he going to this random family in Florida? There is a reason for it, which you find out at the very end of the film. But, you know, people might guess it. And you get a lot of scenes of him driving this fucking car. And that's one of the things, like, this could be edited. You show just one scene or two scenes of him driving this fucking car. It's like the movie says, shit, you know, this is a gore film. It's been a while since we've had it, so let him follow this random girl home, kills her by slitting her throat and stabbing her. Getting good effects, bloody effects. I mean, it's on YouTube to watch for free. Meanwhile, the family in Florida, you have the mom and then her new boyfriend, which sometimes with his deer, he looks like Tommy Chon with the beard and the red bandana. And I'm like, where's Cheech? Hey, Cheech. Wish it was Tommy Chon. Be better actor than this guy. I mean, the acting is not the best. The kids acting are not the best. You have this annoying twat named CJ, who's a prankster. At one point, he pretends he got stabbed and worries everybody. And like, we miss ketchup. Another time, he has this fucking figure, pranks this girl. Granted, he's not as irritating as the kid from Trick or Treats, which, no matter what I say about this film, is not nearly as bad as that film, Trick or Treats. If you don't know what I mean, feel free to watch my review. That movie's a piece of fucking garbage. Hot garbage. Trick or Treats from, what 82 or whatever the fuck year it was. Just watch my review, or just watch, don't watch the movie. Trick or Treats. That also had a kid that would always prank him. And then literally did become a fucking killer at the end. Or spoiler, fuck Trick or Treats. It was spoiled before it got made. So this boy's being a prick, doing all these fucking pranks. Saying shit like, stick your head in doo-doo. How about you stick a fucking fork up your ass and give it a twist? Maybe take the stick out of it, kid. And the family keeps getting these fucking phone calls. And this one I'm like, okay, part of me goes, where the fuck is this movie going? Kind of meandering around, just like this review. Where the fuck is this review going? Just like this movie, where the fuck are you going? There's a couple decent moments. There's a scene where the mom and her boyfriend, the boyfriend takes a picture. He's like, what the hell? He looks at the Polaroid, and there's a figure in the house. So is there anyone else in the house? And they look around, they don't find the guy. You do a few other bits of, well, aftermath gore. You get some moments of weirdness, like someone's been killed, so they take the kid CJ to a crime scene to literally look at a dead body while like 50 people are in a crowd. Is this something you wouldn't you do this at the hospital or the morgue? Not out here in fucking public. And why would you take a little kid to a fucking scene of a crime? And it's the fucking cops, the sheriff doing this shit. Also, to the mom, if your kid's friend has just been murdered and other people have been murdered, would you make it so that there's no parents, no adults really in the fucking house? Because I'm trying to remember what the fuck happened. Well, no, to be fair, no, there was someone and they got killed by a hammer. Pretty decent gore effect. Almost forgot about that. I don't know why. This is not the most memorable, to be fair. I mean, I don't hate the film. I'm glad I saw it once, because it's a film I've been curious about, but if you want to watch a movie about a guy, his psyche of being a killer, Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer is a way better film. Even Maniac, because I got more of Joe Spinell's performance, and I don't think that film meandered as much as this. Or there was another film I reviewed, Don't Go in the House, where it's the guy with the room, put women in, and it's like he uses a flamethrower. Yeah, that was 1980, Don't Go in the House. That's a pretty, I thought that was a better film here. Because that also had a bit of, well, to be fair, this is a lot gorier than that. That one is more of the idea and the aftermath. Here, I would say, is much more of a bloody film. And that is one of the best parts of the movie. And again, this sort of, that grimy early 80s atmosphere, that even if the film itself is not the greatest in its acting or such, it still has that atmosphere that whether it be the way the films were shot back then, or just the film stock, or just has that certain look that is definitely a big positive. It definitely helps. I know that seems flimsy, but I think that is a reason why even films like this, they do get a fan base. And it seems like with the killer, there's some interesting moments with him. Like with the kid CJ, the killer does call within the house and he warns him to leave. That was an interesting idea. The finale is kind of interesting. It was huge spoilers with the finale. After killing the woman with the hammer, chases the kid. He now has a mask on. And the kid keeps shooting him. Shoots him through the door, then gets a shotgun, shoots him a few times. And that's when just throughout the film, you get these flashes of what happened to this guy back in the day. You finally see that when he was a kid, he saw his dad tied up and this woman like S&M beating him up, sex style. So he got an axe, cut the woman's head off, buried the axe into his father's face. Did pretty graphic, gory, fun gore. Decapitation, axe into the head. They don't hold back on the gore on that. Then cut to present time. The mom finally gets home and there's all the cops. They pull the mask off and she goes, "That's my husband!" So that's why this guy went to Florida. That's why he called to warn the kid to leave. And also you get the idea that now the CJ, the kid, he will be a psycho too. I mean, not psycho too, but a psycho as well. He's in the car and he smiles and then serious at the end. I'm like, oh well, it's all full circle. Just like when the killer, when he was a kid, he's all fucked up. This kid's fucked up now. I've seen that before. So that's what I mean. Like, I'm watching the film, I'm going, okay, this is all stuff you've seen before. It doesn't really do anything new story-wise, plot-wise. The gore is enjoyable to watch. Again, that grimy early 80s. And it does try to take itself a bit more seriously than, again, a more fun slasher film. So maybe if you get into films like He Knows You're Alone and Maniac and films of that nature, although I do think those films are better than this. And also, I mean, during that whole... Hit the microphone. Sorry about that. During the whole like 80 to 84... This is still put in the slasher film category. Granted, maybe more serious slasher film, but still. If you're a horror fan, you're more than willing to watch those films in that time period. Because it was the gory days. The gory days of glory. I don't know why I think of that song, Glory Days, but then it's like Gory Days, da, 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 ba-na-na-na, Gory Days, Gory Days. Go check those films out, whether you like or dislike them. If you're a big horror fan and it's October, it's Halloween season, feel free to check some of them out. Some of them are going to be winners, some of them are going to be losers. At least this is not as bad as, say, Final Exam or Terror on Tour, or some of the true pieces of trash I saw. Here, at least, I was interested to see where it was going. Like, why? Again, there was the hint of, like, is this the guy's dad? Is that what it is? Because I remember the mom saying, oh, well, his dad left before he was born, or the day after he was born. Yeah, the day he left was the day after CJ was born. Like, that was lying down with it. Is that where this is going? And it was. But yeah, I think the lead guy wasn't that bad. Yeah, didn't mind the look of him, and his acting wasn't the problem. Again, there's a bit of wanty stuff with the plot and the scientists or whatever. They fixed him and they want to try to find him, and that really doesn't result in anything because they don't find him. So part of you is like, well, that was all fucking pointless. All those endeavors. And like I said, the movie, I think some editing could be heavily utilized in the pacing of this. And I don't give a shit about the family in Florida because the acting wasn't really there for them. There's a lot of improvements that could be made. And that's why I don't like Maniac and Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer. He Knows You're Alone. Like, to me, those are better versions of this film. But again, it does have some grindhouse atmosphere and gore. Maybe that could be more than enough to suffice for people. Guess that's up to you. With that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.